Harriet the Hammerhead. Hi, Miss Aarin. I'm excited to teach you about wind today. Oh, I love talking about wind. Yeah, and you know, sometimes when we're talking about wind and all of the different weather patterns, it's fun to know some of the riddles and rhymes that you can remember the weather conditions by. Like what? Like red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. That's cool. What does that mean? Well, that means that when there's a sunset that is red, that means that all of the dry weather is moving towards the east, which means it's really good for sailing. But if we have a red sky in the morning, that means that all of the dry air has already moved completely from the west, and it clears the way for a storm. Oh, wow. What else you got? Well, how about clear moon, frost soon? Yeah? We don't get much frost here. No, we don't, but it's still something that you can remember. Clear moon, frost soon. When the night sky is clear, Earth's surface cools really rapidly. There's no cloud cover to keep the Earth cool at night. So if the night is clear enough to see the moon and the temperature drops enough, the frost will form. Oh, that makes sense. Yes, of course it does. How about rainbow in the morning gives you a fair warning? I love rainbows. But what do you think a rainbow means? Well, in order for a rainbow to happen, there has to be some type of water up there. Right, so it probably means that it's going to rain, huh? Yeah, there's like precipitation up there. Exactly. Ring around the moon, rain real soon. What do you think? I don't know. A ring around the moon usually indicates that there's an advancing warm front that's coming, which means precipitation. Do you know what seaweed is? Yeah, I do. All right, it's sargassum, or it can also be known as kelp, which is found mostly on the west coast in the States. Yeah, I've seen it. It grows like weeds in the ocean. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Did you know that some people use seaweed or kelp as an indicator of the weather? Cool. How? Well, some people will take the kelp or the seaweed and they'll hang it up to dry. And if it dries out, that means we're going to have dry weather. But if it plumps up and it thickens a little bit, it means that we're likely going to have rain or precipitation. Wow, cool. Anything else? There's other ones too. Have you seen pine cones before? Sure. Okay, well, with pine cones, it's kind of the same thing. In dry weather, the scales on a pine cone open up. When they close up, it is a sign that rain is on its way. Cool! The scarlet pimpernel is often known as the poor man's weather glass. Its tiny flowers open wide in a sunny weather, but close up tightly when rain is in the air. Wow, that's a flower, right? Yes, it's the scarlet pimpernel. Pimpernel. The scarlet pimpernel. The poor man's weather forecast. What about the crickets? Do you think crickets can tell us something? Yeah, lots of animals are actually. Yeah, let's see what they say about the crickets. Like many small creatures, crickets are sensitive to changes in the weather, chirruping louder and louder as the temperature rises. The chirruping is not actually a song, but the sound of their hind legs rubbing rapidly against their hard front wings. That's so cool. I know, it is. And then lastly, have you ever seen a cow lying down? No. Well, I have. And some people say that when cows are lying down in a field, it means that it's going to rain. I don't know about that.
Hey, Uncle Gary, have you ever been in really bad weather?
Well, of course I have. What kind of bad weather do you want to know about?
What about hurricanes and tornadoes? Because Miss Aarin she was talking to us about wind today.
Yeah, those are definitely caused by a lot of wind.
Can you tell me about it?
Sure can. Hurricanes start their life as small thunderstorms, but when they move over the ocean, it causes a tropical disturbance or a tropical wave. The atmospheric conditions must be just right to turn a tropical wave into a hurricane. Less than 5% of them ever become full-blown hurricanes.
Whoa! That sounds like that could be gnarly!
For sure, gnarly. Yeah.
What about tornadoes?
Well, tornadoes only form when a thunderstorm has a particular combination of winds. Air rising in thunderstorms can begin to spin when it's affected by winds blowing in different directions. It starts to rise and is pushed to the side by the wind.
So it's gotta have several different wind speeds going on?
Well, not necessarily wind speeds. See, in order for a tornado to happen, there's got to be a cluster of winds that are forming on the ground. Then there's also got to be strong winds that are forming at the very high above that. So there's two different cycles of wind that are spinning. And as the winds start moving towards the center axis of rotation, it gets faster and faster. And then another crazy thing happens. Then a side wind has to blow through, and that's where the tornadoes are formed.
Whoa, that sounds complicated, but really cool!
Yep. Tornadoes and hurricanes can be awfully dangerous.
Yeah, I would assume so. Crazy winds, and I heard that tornadoes and hurricanes can destroy communities and things.
Yep, you need to always take precaution when you have serious weather, Harriet.
All right, thanks for the tip, Uncle Gary.
You're welcome, Harriet.
Harriet, check this out. I made an anemometer.
Wow, what's that for?
Well, this is kind of a makeshift version of what an anemometer, but this actually is an instrument that a meteorologist was used to measure the wind speed.
Wow, cool. So this one's not real, it's just kind of a model?
It is, but you can use it. When you hold it up in real wind, you can stick this in sand or the ground and it'll spin like this. And if you can count its rotations just like a real anemometer does, then you can figure out how many miles per hour the wind is or how many knots it's blowing.
Wow, I like that a lot.
I know, these are so cool. Can I show you the other instrument that meteorologists use to measure wind?
Sure.
Harriet, check this out.
What's that?
This is a weather vane, also known as a wind vane. They're very simple to make, but meteorologists also use this instrument to tell us which way the wind is blowing.
Oh.
So, if the arrow is pointing this direction from where I am standing, that would mean that it is pointing west. But that would also mean that the wind is coming from the east. So here's the east direction and it is blowing into the west. So we would say that we have east winds. And for us, that is straight onshore winds.
Wow, cool.
I'm going to show you all how to make these. And feel free to use whatever materials that you might have at home. There's several ways to do this, but I made mine out of a pencil, a straw, some cardboard, and made a little compass here.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, they are really cool. There's lots of instruments that we use to tell how the wind is measured.
I like it.
Hi, so we're gonna make a wind vane. It's very simple. You don't need a whole lot of things. You need a straw, you need a thumbtack, or a sewing pin, and you need a pencil, and maybe some construction paper, and even some cardboard so that you can draw your compass. So you start by cutting out a piece from your construction paper and making it into an arrow and to the tail. Then you're going to take the straw, and on both sides of the straw you want to make a little slit. You want to make sure that the slit is on the same side on both sides of your straw, so that when you put your tail in, like so, and your arrow, that they're on the same side. Okay? So the next step is you can draw your compass. You can make this out of cardboard, you can make it out of plastic, whatever materials you might have lying around. I decided to paint mine, and then of course I labeled it north, east, south, and west, and I drew the degrees in between all of this. You don't have to do that, but it's just to help us determine all of the directions, including the in-betweens, like the northeast or the southeast direction. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to take your pencil and poke it through the center so that you make a hole, and then you're going to take your straw and you're going to find where the balancing point is. Is there a balance? Ooh, that looks like the center. It's balancing on my finger, see? That's where we want to put the pen, which I dropped at my feet. We want to stick the thumbtack right through the straw and attach it onto the eraser of the pen. See how I left a little bit of room at the bottom so that I could stick this in the stand or the yard? And there is your very own wind vane. If you want to ask your folks for some help, you can even ask them to help you super glue these ends right to the straw so that they don't come loose. There you go, your very own wind vane. Okay, and the next tool that we're going to make is an anemometer, and this is used to measure wind speed. So, what I've done at home is I've drilled a hole into the four sides of this plastic lid, and I've taken a pencil that has an eraser at the top and I've super glued it in there so it doesn't move. And then what I did was I drilled holes into two sides of these plastic cups, and I stuck a straw right through it. See? And then I put these two together with a thumbtack, just like so, poked it through one, and then carefully poked it through the other, and then I poked it right into the eraser. So this, when you stick it in the ground, will spin, and like I said in the lesson, the faster it spins, the more rotations it's going to make. And you can tell the speed of this by counting how many rotations in every 30 seconds it spins. So this is a really cool craft, but you can do this in so many ways. I encourage you to Pinterest it and figure out what materials you might have at home so that you might not have to use a drill. But I hope you had fun. Thanks. Check this out. We actually have a real anemometer right here on the porch.